Welcome to the fastest daf in town. Today we're going to Masechtas Chagigah Daf Zayin. We are going to begin on the bottom of Vavam Medbei's last line. Tzanan Hasam. We learned in Masechtas Peah, El Devarim She'en Lehem Shir. These are things which have no measurement. As we continue Zayin B'Nalef. HaPeah. Rashi says, Lo Nasnu L'Toyer Shir. There's no measurement. V'Afal Bi She'en L'Peah Shir, Nasnu Chachamim Shir Achas Meshishim. The Chachamim do say 1/60th, but the corners of every field really has no measurement. Vahabikurim. Rashi says, V'lakachta mereshis kol pri adama, to take from your first fruits. V'lo kama, doesn't say how much. And then it says V'ra'oyin. We'll see what that has. What is that? Gemilas chasadim. There's no measurement of chesed with Talmud Torah, as well as learning. Fine. So Amar Rav Yochanan Kisfurin Anu. We thought to say that there's no maximum amount as far as purchasing a very expensive olos re'iyah. As we saw Beisham Beis Hill, there is a minimal measurement. There is no measurement above or even below. According to Beis Shammai or Beis Hillel, they argue exactly how much it is, but Midoraisa, not. Okay, before we continue, let's look at Rashi. Bikurim Hadar Parech Yerushalmi Rabbi Brachi Boy Lomoloi Teninan Efer Saita Efer Para Rakivama Dam Sipor Shamatzira. There's so many other things that don't have a measurement. Rabbi Yossi. Lo Isinan b'masnisin el devarim shehu meisav lehen v'yesh b'siyasin mitzvah. By doing it's a mitzvah. Okay, fine. By doing them, it's not a mitzvah. These other things are listed. Next Taisus, Yerushalmi hadatema b'kufay of a b'mayna yesh l'shir. When it comes to your money, there is a measurement. U'b'birka chaylim de'en lo shir isa b'nadarim habi b'chlal gemilas chasadim. So you can't give all of your money away. The Gemara says, you shouldn't give more than a fifth. So this perhaps is referring to begufo, the chesed you do with your body. Okay, fine. In general, gemilas chasadim, as we see in the end of the fourth parak of Masechta Sukkah, is referring to chesed with your guf. So what exactly is that referring to? Rav Yochanan Omer, Risponim Ba'azara. It means the amount of times that you can go to the Beis HaMikdash and go into the Azara. That has no limit. It has to do with the bringing of the karbanos. Now, everyone agrees when we're talking about the Iker Regel going during the Shalosh Regalim that you need to bring a carbon. There's an Indian of Riyas Panim, the carbon. You should not go unless you are bringing a carbon. So that everyone agrees with. When it comes to any other day, you show up in the middle of the regel. Anytime you come, be icy and you brought a carbon. You could bring an extra carbon if you want. We're going to certainly accept it. What if you come and you don't bring anything? You did bring it once. You brought an olos re'iyah, but then you went and came again to the Har Bayis in the middle of the regel. Do you have to bring another carbon? Rav Yochanan Savar Riyas Panim Ba'azar de Kol Amos de Asi Lotzarach Lasuye. You don't have to bring a carbon every single time you come. No. Riyas Panim B'Carbon de Kol Amos de Asi Sarach Lasuye. Every time that you come, you have to bring a carbon. So this is the dispute between Reish Lakish and Rav Yochanan, whether or not you have a chiyuv to actually bring a carbon every time you come. So Reish Lakish Rav Yochanan. He has a question according to Rav Yochanan. He says the pasuk says "V'lo yirpnei raikam." You don't have to come empty-handed. So l'chayra means anytime. Whereas this Amrulay, no, that's the Iker Regel. That's referring to the Iker Regel, like the first time you come. But afterwards, you don't have to come and bring it every single time. Fine. As Rashi says, Be'ikar HaRegel is B'yom Tov Rishon. Look at the Rashi before that. Rav Yochanan Amar Re'is Panim Ba'azar. Kama Pamim Shu Chafetz Ba. Anytime you want, Umar Atzma Ba'azar, you want to go there. V'en Tzarech L'Havi Carbon B'chol Riyah V'Riyah. You don't actually have to bring a carbon every time. Eisvei V'lo Yorei Pnei Reikam Mizvachim Ata Bizvachim. It's referring to bringing Zvachim. Rashi says that you need to bring a carbon behema, which shecht with a knife, not an olos ha'of, which we do malika. So maybe it's talking about bringing ofos and menachos. No, it can't be, because v'dinhu. It says Chagigah for an individual to eat, and also says re'iyah l'gvoa, that's brought to Hashem, as it says lo yiru panai rekam, which is referring to for Hashem. So ma Chagigah hamor lehedit, when it comes to an individual's carbon, zvachim are for re'iyah hamor l'gvoa zvachim. So when it comes to you, it's necessary that you bring a actual behema, because it says lo yon chaylev chag yad boiker midi isle chaylev, something in which has these fats, which is not referring to a mincha, flour offering, or birds. So when it comes to your bringing of the shalmi chagigah, it has to be an animal. It has to be a zivchei behema. It can't be an oaf. It can't be a mincha. And so too, when it comes to an ola, to Hashem, it's the same thing. It can't be an olos ha'of. Umahin zvachim oiles. So what do we say zvachim? We're talking about the olos re'iyah. So after Omer olos ho'enu ela shlomim, maybe it's talking about the shlomim. Medinhu. Nemer chagigah lehedim nemer re'iyah l'gvoa. Ma chagigah hamur lehedit boroilo af re'iyah hamur l'gvoa boroilo. And it's fit all for Hashem. V'chein bedin. So it makes sense. Your table should not be full, and the table of Hashem should be empty. So be'ikar haregel, again, this is only referring to be'ikar haregel. On Yom Tov Rishon, that is what it's referring to, the bringing of these karbanos, and the whole discussion of what carbon can be brought. But afterwards, if you don't want to bring a carbon at all, you can come without bringing a carbon. Eisvei. Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Shosh Regal Mishana, 3 times Nitzav Yisrael Alos Beregel. What are the 3 times? We know. B'chag HaMatzos, B'chag HaShukas, B'chag HaSukkos. Those 3 holidays. The Ein Nirin Chatzoyin. You cannot see in halves. Now, what exactly does that mean? We're going to see shortly what that means. But that's something which is hard to understand. Mishum Shnemer Kol Zechorcha. The Ein Nirin Reikanin. And you cannot be seen empty-handed. So it says clearly you're not supposed to come empty-handed. And again, the answer is Amalei Be'ikar Regel. Again, Be'ikar Regel, on Yom Tov Rishon, everyone holds you have to bring a carbon ola. Question is afterwards. The pasuk says, Uriah, Mani Bechinam, just like there Hashem sees you for free without a carbon, Af Atem Bechinam. So therefore we see clearly that it's not necessary for you to bring a carbon. So Ella Kol Hechad Asa, anytime you come below IC to Kol Yamla Play the IC Umaschazim Enafik. Certainly you can go and you don't have to bring a carbon. So that we actually are establishing Lamaskana that it's true. That you could go Bechinam. You don't actually have to bring anything. So key please, what is this Machokas between Reish Lakish and Rabbi Yochanan? The Asa of IC, that you actually brought a carbon. Rabbi Yochanan, the Oimer Rias Panim Ba'azora Rias Panim. Who the anal ashir. You can come as many times as you want. Halakarbon yeshul ashir. There is a maximum requirement. We don't allow you to keep bringing karbanos. There's shalka no. Rias planim b'karbon and hafil karbonami anal ashir. You can bring as much as you want. Eisvei Fret Gemara. The pasuk says hukar raglecha mebeis reacha. You should keep your feet away from my house mebeis reacha. So you shouldn't bring many karbanos. That's what this pasuk is insinuating. So when it says hasam b'chatos hashamos, yeah, I don't want you to bring chatos and hashamos, guilt and sin offerings, because that means you did something wrong. So Hashem doesn't want us to bring a lot of chatos and hashamos. Doesn't mean if you did something wrong and you're mechuyev carbon chatos, you shouldn't bring it. But it's not something to brag about. Rabbi Levi, Rami, yes, a stira. Siv which implies Hashem doesn't want too many karbanos. Siv it says I'll come to your house and I'll bring a lot of olos, which sounds praiseworthy. Again, Lukasha kan b'chatos hashamos kan ba'olos v'shlomim, which the pasuk says beferish. It says olos. So an ola Hashem wants you to bring. Shlomim Hashem wants you to bring. Not chatos and hashamos. Tani mehachi. Huk reglech mebeis reacha b'chatos hashamos. Kos medaber. I atu remember b'chatos hashamos. Oh, Eino Ela Ba'olos Shlamim. Hashem doesn't even want those. No, Kashu Aimer Abu Beisecha Ba'olos Ashalim L'cha Nidari to pay off your Nidarim. Kari Olos V'Shlamim Amar. How many Memukayim Hukam Reglecha B'Misrayecha V'Chatas V'Shem V'Chaz Madaber. So that's what it's coming to teach us. Okay, let's look at question 3. Mi Sha'ol L'Regel. You went up to the Regel. Behavi Re'iyasai. You already brought your carbon Re'iyah. V'Chayz V'Nira B'Me'echag. You came back. Him sarach lehevi shuv carbon re'iyah u'menalan. So he said l'maskana, everyone holds you're not mechuyev because the pasuk says you're at. We learn ma ani bechinam af acher bechinam, that you should be able to feel free to be able to come and not have to pay. Okay, to have to bring a carbon. You should feel that you can go and serve Hashem bechinam, which is an interesting idea, that you shouldn't feel that every single time you go to a shul that you have to bring a carbon, because that's going to actually alienate you from wanting to bring more karbanos, or to have to donate money. So you're not going to want to go to shul anymore. Every time I go there, there's a pledge. So there's an element of I want you to come and not feel a sense of obligation that you have to pay every single time you come. So what does that mean? So the Gemara didn't explain that before. So Sabri Rabbi Yosef L'meimar Mandi Islay Asarid Banim. If you have 10 sons, don't say, you know what, the plane ticket's expensive, so 5 will come this time, 5 will come next time. So no, don't go halves. Bring your whole family. Everyone should come together. Pshita. Haiminayu Mishavaslu Poishim Vahaiminayu Mishavaslu Zerizin. Who are you going to end up choosing as your kids that are doing the right thing and who are being neglectful? El Akrola Lamayasa Likinacherim. The Sanya, as we saw before, Acherim Oimrim, Hamakamitz, Vasarv, the Chaishas, Vaborsi. These individuals who, unfortunately, because of their profession, they have a foul odor upon them. Patern Minor Ish. Never Kol Zachorcha, Mishachalalos Im Kol Zachorcha, Yatsu Elu, Shinyachalalos Im Kol Zachorcha. So these people, because they can't come together with everyone, because of the smell that they produce, so therefore they're potter from coming all together. Oilos B'moed Bo'os Minachulin. So, how do you spend this money? You have money that's designated as Kodesh, and you have money which is Chulin, which is like free money, after taxes, if you will. So when it comes to an Ola, you can only buy an Ola from Chulin, clean, non-sanctified money. Otherwise, it's like double dipping. However, Shlamim in a Meiser, when it comes to bringing a carbon shlamim, you can even take meiser from that. You can use your meiser for that, which it's a tremendous chiddush. But that's what it says over here. Rashi says, we know that kol davar shebachova inuba elam achulin. Anything which there's a chayiv, an obligation, so it only comes from, it has to be from chulin. So the question is, why shlamim from meiser? So Rashi says, because it's not a complete chiyuv. The Gemara Mafar is Shalmi Simcha. It's actually going to be talking about the Shalmi Simcha, which is not an actual Chiyuv. We'll talk about that when we get to it. Back in the Mishnah, Yom Tov Arishon, on the first day of Yom Tov Shel Pesach, in which we're talking about the Shalmi Chagigah, Beis Shami Ormim Min Achul, and Beis Hillel Ormim Min Meiser. So when it comes to, again, the Shalmi Chagigah, what the din is it Chul or Meiser? Yisrael Yoitzin Chavasim the Dar B'Chayvas Meiser Behema. Yisrael could fulfill their obligation of the mitzvah of simcha by eating the meat of all these different things. It doesn't need to come from chulin. But kohanim b'chatois v'shamos. When it comes to a kohen, they could eat from the parts of a chatas and asham, which is designated for the kohen, b'chor, the firstborn animal, because of a shok. They do not fulfill their obligation of simcha by eating birds or flour, because ain't simcha el b'basar. So when it comes to a carbon ola, it's necessary, as we said, it must come from chulin. Ha b'yom tov min meiser. Now it says b'moed hu debois min chulin. On Yom Tov l'chayra, we're saying that it's it can come even from meiser. Amai davar shebechayevehi v'chol davar shebechayev eino ba el min chulin. So l'chayra, it doesn't make any difference. If you have to bring a carbon, it should always come from your chulin money. So v'chi tema hakamashmal and the olas b'moed bois that when it comes to an Ola during the Moed, you can bring it. B'Yom Tov Enu Bois. Maybe it's just telling you that on Yom Tov you're not allowed to bring Olos at all. Come on, Kibei Shammai. Then it's like the number one first machlokus in the world about the smicha and this debate that none Beis Shammai Omrim Mevian Shlomim Vein Soimich Nalan. According to Beis Shammai, you can bring a carbon shlomim on Yom Tov, but you can't do smicha on it because you're using an animal. Of a low olos. According to Beis Shammai, you can't bring olos at all. So you telling me that this sheet is like Beis Shammai, that's saying that, on the Moed, like Chol Moed you could, but on Yom Tov itself, no. On Yom Tov you're not able to bring olos. Because Beis Hillel Omrim Mavin Shlomim Olos Samchalan. He holds you could do smicha on Yom Tov, he holds you can be bringing ola on Yom Tov. It's not a problem. We don't say lachem is v'lo l'gavoa, it's lachem is v'lo l'nachri, v'lo l'klavim. So chasur mechsav hachitan, this is how you're supposed to read the Mishnah. Olos, nidarim and nidavos b'moed, bois. You can bring olos for nidarim and nidavos on chol moed. But Yom Tov, Einon Bos. However, in Yom Tov, we don't bring your Nidarm Nidavos, and the reason is because it's like a Dever Sheshel Matirin, something you can bring afterwards. So there's no reason for you to have to bring your fulfilled Nidarm Nidavos Karbanos on Yom Tov. However, Olos Re'iyah, Ba, Fil Be Yom Tov. The Olos Re'iyah could be brought even on Yom Tov, which is like the Shita Beis Hillel. Ukashihi Ba. Now, when the Olos Re'iyah is brought, Enu Ba El Min Chulin. Because after all, we said the Olos Re'iyah has to come from Chulin money, because it's the Davar Shebechayva. But Shalmi Simcha, when it comes to this Shalmi Simcha, Boyin Af Min a Meiser, right? You can take Meiser, or you can eat, as we saw, the Kohen could eat the Chatas, the Asham, you can eat from Shlomim. It's not a problem. The Chagigas Yom Tov Harishon Shel Pesach, how about the Shalmi Chagigah on the first day of Pesach? So Beis Shammai Omrim Min Achul and Beis Hillel Omrim Min a Meiser. So it's a machlokas Beis Shammai Beis Hillel, whether or not, it almost seems like the machlokas is whether it's the Davar Shebechayva. Okay. Tani Mihachi. Oilus Nedarim and Nedavos b'moed bois. You can bring them only during Chol Moed. B'Yom Tov Einam bois. You don't bring them on Yom Tov, as we said, because it's something which can be brought later on. Fine. But Oilus Re'iyah ba'afil b'Yom Tov, like Shita's Beis Hillel. She ba in a ba el min achulin. The Shalmi Simcha bois af min a Meiser, that the Shalmi Simcha can be brought even from Meiser. But Chagigas Yom Tov Rishon Shel Pesach, on the first day of Pesach, the Shalmi Chagigah, it's a machlokas. Beis Shammai Omrim Min Achulin, Beis Hillel Omrim Min a Meiser. The Mashna Chagigas Yom Tov Rishon Shel Pesach. Why are we mentioning that day? There's more than just that Yom Tov, that there's a Shalmi Chagigah. So why are we mentioning the first day of Pesach? It could be the first day of Sukkot, the first day of Shavuos. Why are we singling Pesach out? So Ravashi, Hakamashmuan, that Chagigas Chamisha Asar in, the Shalmi Chagigah on the 15th, that's when we say this din. However, Chagigas Arba Asar Lo, the Chagigah that's brought on the 14th of Nisan, which is also the same day you bring your carbon Pesach, no. And we're going to conclude with this line, then we'll see a couple Rashis on the bottom. Al Maksavar, we hold Chagigas Arba Asar Lav Diraisa. There's no real chiyuv of Chagigas 14. The Chagigah on the 14th is, so you should eat Besava. You should be able to eat the Karban Pesach after you're already a little bit full, not starving. So that's the reason why we have the Chagigas Arba Asar. The Chagigas Chamisha Asar on the 15th, that is possibly, at least according to the sheet of Beis Shammai, that it has to come in a chulin, because that already is a chiyuv. So that's the reason. It's not coming to exclude the other holidays. It's coming to exclude the Chagigah, the Shalmi Chagigah on the 14th. Says the bottom Rashi on Zayin Mud Beis. Chagigas Yudal Loi. Kloimer Lohachi Nakat Pesach. Lafishi Yesh Er Pesach Chagigas Chagigah Cheres. There's another Shalmi Chagigah. Kishada Chavrus Pesach Maruba. We have a very large group of people for the carbon Pesach. Hayimavin Imo Chagigah. We bring another animal, Kanishi Pesach Noichel Al Sava. So you should eat the carbon Pesach while you're full. So you have this other meat, just in case you have a very large group. If you have a small group, you don't need to do this, because you can just eat the carbon Pesach. But if you have a very large group, the carbon Pesach will not be enough. So therefore, you want to have to eat before you eat the carbon Pesach. Vashmi'inan masnisin the Chagigas Yom Tov atzmo hu de'eno ba'el min chulin. The Yom Tov itself only comes from chulin, at least according to the Shita Beis Shammai. Aval Chagigas arba aser ba'af min meiser. Everyone holds that when it comes to the 14th, that comes from meiser. Okay, let's stop here and see a couple questions. Question 4. Yom Tov Rishon Shel Pesach Beis Shammai Omer min chulin. Madua nakat hatana Yom Tov Shel Pesach Davka. So as we just said, and Rashi helped us out here as well, that when it comes to the 15th, only when we're talking about the 15th, this is question 4 actually, question 4, on the 15th is when there is possibly a chiyuv of the Shalmei Chagigah. However, even Beis Shammai will hold on the 14th, the Chagigah, the 14th, is not a chayiv, and there it's only in order that you should be full for the Karban Pesach, and therefore for that certainly can come from meiser, from even meiser. Kamash Shmuel Chagigas Tezvav Eno Chogegas in Chagigas Yudalad Lo Boy Min Chulin. It doesn't need to be from chulin. TA 25. Elu Gibel Karbonos Nestav Yisrael Lavin Bahaloisim Laregel, which of course we know, which is the Oils Re'iyah, the Shalmei Chagigah, the Shalmei Simcha. Veheim Boyin Meiser Sheni. So which ones can come from Meiser? So first of all, Oils Re'iyah, for sure not, right? It has to come from chulin. When it comes to the Shalmei Simcha, he said it can come from Meiser. In the Shalmei Chagigah, we have this machlokus. Beis Shammai says from chulin, and Beis Hillel is toifel, which we'll discuss exactly what that means really in the next daf. But it's a machlokus Beis Shammai's Hillel when it comes to the Shalmei Chagigah. Okay, that was TA 25. TA 25. Okay, and TB 26. Eza Chagigah mavian af min a meiser, v'lotfeil umadua. So Chagigas Yudalad ki vandalav deraisehi, which we just said, which is TB 26. TB 26. Let's see a couple of Rabbi Gibber's questions. Ma hachiluk bein lashon rishon and bein lashon sheni u'divrei Rabbi Yochanan t'sfirei re'iyas panim ba'azara. First he said ikar regel, you're chayav all the days you can go and you don't have to bring a carbon. Or the question is, are you allowed to bring additional carbonos? Okay. Question 19. Mabshat b'hodik sibaraisa le'in re'iyah ve'ein nirin l'chatzoyin kacherem, who say these tanners, copper makers, dung gatherers, who smell are pater since they're not going to go but in small groups and need all not in halves. Be'eza carbon ein yochel l'kayim bo mitzvah min a simcha, mincha, and an oath. Ad kan.